Well, good morning, Therapy Flow community.
Hi,
Welcome back.
everybody. Good morning. Good morning.
I think today might be one of the most important topics that we've done this year yet. Har har. At minimum, though, I think it will stand the test of time a little bit in terms of the next 11 months here of one of the most important, maybe even like warning shots that we can give to you all in terms of the changing landscape and the process. I've talked to so many practice owners at the end of 2023 and the start of 2024 here, where the market of how many inquiries they get and how many referrals that are coming into their practice is going down when at the turn of the year it should typically go up. Or things that were working well for them, like their website or Google Ads or other places, it's not quite as easy to get the volume of inquiries you want through the door. And there are sometimes simple reasons for this. Sometimes they are very personal, aka to the practice. They are not doing a strategy the way that they should, or they aren't doing the strategy the same that they were doing, and they've let something lag behind. But there are also some deeper threads here that you need to be aware about, because I would say that the marketing and the client acquisition climate in the mental health world is changing. And the it has changed, and we're actually just going to see the effects of that change over the next 12 months and beyond.
Yeah. I kind of also see this topic as like affecting the change that you want to see, rather than just like sitting and waiting for things to happen to you. It's kind of the difference between like the build and they will come versus uh, do something, get attention, make something incredible, and then they'll come. And so I think in a lot of cases, especially if you want to control your success and you want to affect what you can affect, then this is sort of maybe the best way to start looking at things. This is maybe a mindset shift, but this is also maybe debunking a misconception I think that we see appear often inside of the mental health space. Maybe it's because of the education system or other preconceived notions, but it's kind of this idea that your referrals likely will slow down if you don't do something about it. Okay. And so I'll maybe start by dispelling a quick, um, maybe misinformation is how I'd put it. Um, Oftentimes, clinicians will think of getting referrals as the first step in their process. And I'm here to tell you it's probably actually the last step in your process. There's a whole bunch of different things that you need to put before the referral that actually allow you to get referrals. Okay. And so if you're thinking of things upside down, it's going to make it really difficult for you. It's going to be sort of a shock for you when things maybe aren't going your way. And so maybe we can dig into that a little bit more, Josh, here.
Yeah. Whether you're a solo practice or a group practice, you're going to experience this stretching in different ways. We are, to use a more technical term, we are moving away from easy demand capture, is what it's called. That means that there is a certain volume of people out there looking for a service, a process, in this case, mental health services. And all you have to do is kind of reach into that pool of people that are looking for that service and take some or pull some with your marketing or your messaging into your practice. There's still a lot of that going on, don't get me wrong. But in the last 1 to 5 years, it's been massively restricted because more and more people are entering into the market, right? It's your hiking spot that has suddenly got popular, and it's no longer serene and normal. There's still some good times. The hike's the same, but lots of people are there. And it's not just because larger companies have entered into the space, it's also because more people have launched private practices as well. And so more people have entered the space from the top in terms of volume, money, marketing dollars, specialties, specificity. And most industries have gone through this at some point. They've gone from a high supply of seekers to a more maybe normal supply of competition in the marketplace. And I'd say the mental health space is just going through this right now, where you can't just put up a website, or you can't just have that brick and mortar office, or you can't just exist, as Attilio said, and build it and expect them to come. There is a little bit of that still going on, but we're moving away from demand capture to what is now needed, which is demand generation.
Yeah, I'll add a specific example here. We're seeing insurance practices who are basically paneled on all insurances get to that like 30 to 50% full range just from being on the insurance panels. And so, if you want to reach into those more profitable ranges for insurance practices, which is like 60 to 80 to 90 to 100% full for your clinicians, this is going to be where we're shifting our idea of generation of demand, generation of uh, or I should say maybe capturing more of that demand or creating more of that demand so that you actually have access to complete those sessions inside of your practice. And so just existing no longer works. So how do you find that demand? How do you create that demand, Josh?
Yeah. When you're thinking about doing a higher volume here is really what it comes down to. First step is thinking about marketing in general. And, depending on where you're at in your private practice journey, maybe you have a website, maybe you're on the listing sites, maybe you're even running some ads. The issue sometimes is that we're not doing either enough of it or enough of it in the correct ways. And so I'll just share an example. Your listing sites, there are ways to optimize that, to make it, to improve it, but you don't control how many people visit your profile or how many people go to Psychology Today as a website in general. They're controlling how many people are shopping in that stratosphere, right? Similarly, in your own your search engine optimization, depending on what you have or haven't done, you don't control directly today how many people see your listing. It has a long tail effect of a bunch of a million little changes to try and slowly increase the process. I'll use an example of shelf space. When you go into a store, the big brands have worked hard, right? Your Doritos, your Coke, your whatever. You walk down the chip aisle, walk down the soda aisle, and they just have massive shelf space, top, bottom, and middle. It's all theirs, right? They've actually worked comprehensively to take up that shelf space. That didn't just happen organically. At one point, there was a volume for soda, and Coke, kind of both built the category and fulfilled the category. And now they fight to keep that as it's a competitive market and keep the shelf space. And so I just want to give you the framework that we have to enter into marketing tactics that develop across a cycle, creating awareness, nurturing, and actually converting. And we have to complete the full swing or the full cycle of that if we want to create the demand and convert the demand in order to have the shelf space in the marketplace in our city, in our state, to keep our therapists full. And we can get more specific with what will bring people through those stages, right now.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier this was kind of like a misconception that getting referrals is like the last thing that you do. And this is kind of a weird way to look at it because the first two steps here is marketing in different capacities, sales, turning that sale into a new client, working with that client and fulfilling what you essentially talk to them about. And then at the end of that process, there's this event or events called delight events, right? Delight elements. So as you're fulfilling your services or during that process where you brought the individual in, there's all moments where you can delight this client to the point where they become an advocate. And once a client becomes an advocate for you, that's when you would actually get a referral. And so a lot of clinicians look at this from one point which is like, I need to be really great clinically. And while that's helpful, there's all these other elements in there, including branding, including the language you're using, including clarity of your marketing language, where you're putting yourself. So, how available are you when someone's looking for you or when someone's looking for help? How ready are you and how professional are you in a triaging or sales context? And like, what is the actual values that you're conveying during sessions, but also during any conversation that you're having with your individuals, with your potential clients? And so these are all moments, all times when you actually end up creating referrals. And so I think one of the big things I would certainly encourage you from this conversation is to look at your entire process as a whole, and then find the areas and angles which you can affect a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, obviously, one of the big ones here is like, hey, how can we be more visible? How can we get more shelf space? I think a really quick answer to that is run advertisements, right? You pay a little bit of money, you get on the shelf. Okay. Pay a little bit of money, you get on the shelf. It's one of the fastest ways to have people see you, have people get access to you. And it gives you a lot of information, especially if people aren't accessing you at a level that maybe is profitable. Um, that's all information for you saying, hey, maybe people don't understand exactly what I'm doing, or maybe they don't understand exactly why I'm different, because I think that they would reach out to me a little bit more if they understood exactly why I was different. And so using that, packaging all of that information up, and then iterating on your process, iterating as fast as you can in a scientific way, maybe is the best way to start developing a system where you actually end up affecting the rate of referrals and advocates really for your practice.
So, in all of this, a different way to put this is you're going to need more sophisticated marketing. There's going to be kind of two buckets of sophisticated marketing. Um, and actually, sophisticated could almost be translated to simple or educational. That means clear, direct messaging that moves a client successfully all the way through your process. What we have to understand, though, in this marketplace where lots and lots of people are trying to capture that person who's ready to start therapy tomorrow, the way that you win is by developing an audience, by developing a list, and by developing marketing strategies that captures that user sooner in their journey before they're ready to pull the trigger with a counselor today. A lot of you really want right now a phone call today that converts into a client 15 minutes later. And to be blunt, I want that too. But the reality is we have to nurture. We have to have more conversations with our therapists, right, before they become a client of Therapy Flow. And that's how our industry works. That's how a lot of service-based industry works. That's where the therapy industry is also going to head. There will always be clients that are ready to make the purchase right then and there. However, the practices that win are going to develop and capture the attention of their audience sooner. So that way they are the person that they pull the trigger with when they are ready to start therapy. So it's your job to take someone that might be interested in therapy or someone that might need therapeutic services or that might be having issues in their life, capture their attention, educate them on the therapy, the specialties, the process, the outcomes that they want to have, and then enroll them and convert them into a client. How do you do this? It's still using a lot of the same marketing channels that we talk about, like paid ads and social media and your website and SEO and content generation. But it's with the understanding that we need longer payouts. We need to track our people better. We need to nurture them, create more connective tissue through the realm of getting them on our list, sending emails, sending text messages, giving free content or free opt-ins or ways for them to experience different elements. That connective tissue is what's going to nurture your leads through different stages so they're ready to pull the trigger. it also means that if they don't sign up with you after the first 15 minutes, that we can no longer just set and forget, meaning, great, cool, have a nice life, click. We need to understand that that person will be able to be a client at some point. And if we're not taking actions to nurture them and to pull them back in at some point, then we're losing massive volume on the back end. Okay, we're putting sheep into our pasture, but the gate on the other end of the pasture is wide open and they're just slipping right out the back. And I secretly think that if there's any place to start, this is the first place to start, actually, is to just close your back gate.
Yeah, we got some advice the other day from a Meta Pro agent. So for those of you who don't know, those are the people who are working directly with Facebook and Instagram, so the social media outlets of the world. And I've had this same advice from Google agents and other people working at these big companies that represent a lot of the space that we want to be in, we want to participate in as business owners. And what they said was that they want more people using their platforms in a way that helps improve relevancy. Now, this has always been the case for platforms like Google. And I think sometimes we don't see it like this for Facebook and Instagram or otherwise. But essentially, you increase your relevancy by posting more on the platforms. And I bring this up now, maybe as a stark change from what Josh was just saying. I bring this up now because relevancy is really, really big. And what I don't want you all to do is to try to take a shortcut for your practice, especially if you want your practice to be really a large portion of maybe your income or your freedom or some other goals that you have in life. And I think it can be, just maybe don't take a shortcut on it. And so for those of you who are maybe hesitant in doing one extra thing or participating in one extra event on one element for your practice or another, maybe that's like you've had hesitancies around posting reels or posting on Facebook or creating that Facebook group. Maybe now is the time to reconsider how you're thinking about that, why you have hesitancies around it, and maybe coming to a conclusion that ends up being a more win-win for you and your time and your energy and the monetary resources that maybe you'd put in. And so take a little time, maybe reset. Now's the time to maybe this is closing the back gate, or maybe this is opening a bigger front gate. But honestly, don't take a shortcut, especially if you know that you need to make some big movements in your practice, or it's not as consistent or as maybe helpful as you'd want it to. I think one of the things that breaks my heart every time I see it is when a practice owner is just grasping at straws. Like, hey, maybe I need to roll out my course. Maybe I need to write my book. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that. I've heard someone do this thing before, and they're just grasping at straws and they're trying to do 20 things at once. And I think that's probably the biggest indicator of failure in the space. And so simplify down, don't shortcut what you're currently doing, and dig in, create that demand. I think that's really all I've got for this one, Josh.
Yeah. I'll leave on a final note and just say, if you aren't doing the initial steps of demand capture, you're on listing sites, you're probably doing some SEO, you're running some ads, and you are generating referral partners in your network. Maybe social media is a fifth one. Those are just doing those in any fashion is step one. Asking yourself then, hey, what is the next version of this that gets me more eyeballs, generates more awareness, and captures or generates up the stream awareness or nurtures them after they've already been on my list? Sort of start the conversation way sooner or start the conversation after they've maybe said their initial no. Those are the next two places for you to go. Do step one, do the demand capture. There's still clients to be found there for sure. We have a lot of practices that we work with that's still step one. How do we put that in place correctly and so forth? And they get a big bump. But then step two is to nurture that list and is to take it the next level. And I'll just say you will make more money in the effort that you provide because you're doing additional actions to make your practice, your list more valuable. So don't see this as, oh man, there's so much more to do or so much more to work. There is more profit on the other side of this than what there was before because you will become more efficient at converting a higher volume of clients. And that's why you want to do it.
Yeah.